Hey, guys, if you want to see the full video and more clips and behind-the-scenes footage, make sure you check out youtube.com/BrilliantIdiotspod. That's youtube.com/BrilliantIdiotspod. Subscribe. Peace.
It's so stupid, it's positively brilliant.
The Brilliant Idiots Podcast.
Like we put this value, like freedom. I was thinking because I was in Russia last week, right? And it really put in perspective how arrogant we are about this idea of freedom. Like we've completely invented this idea of freedom. Like you deserve to be free, you believe it. You deserve to be free, you believe it. I deserve to be free, I believe that. Mm-hmm. We just invented freedom. That's an invented idea.
Expound.
Someone was just like, hey, once you're born, you deserve to be free to do whatever the fuck you want. And then other people are like, yeah, I think I do.
See, when I think of freedom, I don't think of that.
What do you think of?
I think of bondage. I think of being enslaved and you're free. I think of being in jail.
Right.
And now you're free. Like
right.
Being free to do whatever you want to do, anybody can do that.
Right. So
except historically you haven't. That's what Andrew's saying.
Historically, there isn't a precedent for that, right?
Yeah, I'm speaking of actual bondage.
You're talking about slavery, right? But there's different levels to freedom. Like, for example, in certain countries, you're not free to be gay, right? So that would be a limitation of freedom,
yes,
right? And in certain places in America, you're not free to be black, right? That'd be now you're free to walk around.
I mean, you're free to be black, but that's your own.
You're
risk.
not in bondage, but there are repercussions for sometimes being black in the wrong neighborhood, being black in the wrong situation, right?
Absolutely.
So there are effects on your freedom, right? And
so when you say the freedom, that's the freedom that most people want.
Right.
They don't want to be oppressed, marginalized systemically.
Exactly.
Because you can't really do anything about random acts of racism.
Of course not. But you're talking about systemic acts,
yes,
right? But here's the crazy thing. We just invented this idea of freedom.
You got to explain.
Like, I don't know how.
Brilliant idiot hot take, by the way.
So it's like
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah,
explain. Chris, somebody explain
and help me explain it. But
in the best version of America, when America is held up as this shining example, it's because we demanded freedom from Britain.
Yeah,
we demanded freedom to own property, to have guns, if you believe that's part of it, to self-determination. That's always been, and that was the principle that the nation was founded of and it's separated from Britain for. And that's always, in theory, been our biggest accomplishment. Because it's true. Mm-hmm. Throughout world history, people don't have freedom on all sorts of different levels, whether it's straight up slavery to
freedom of ideas.
Women not being able to drive in Saudi Arabia to you can't
freedom
have
to vote.
Twitter in China. You can only use
Chinese version
whatever their fake version is. So there are all these different variations of it. Now, the other side of the coin is that's the principle America was founded on.
Are they living up to it? Maybe not. Of course.
Did freedom work for Native Americans? No. Did freedom work for African Americans? No. But the principle is unique.
I'm not trying to imply that we all have it. I'm just saying.
And if you want to take it back a step further, they would say it's based on
French
democracy,
or whatever,
which goes back to ancient Greece, but they had slaves in
But
Greece.
isn't there little subsidiaries of that even in America? Because say like you're in school, right? And in school they got rules, they have regulations.
Yeah.
We've all left the classroom or the day was over and you're like, I'm free.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you know you're no longer under that rule.
Right. So there's different levels of it, right? Like you're not free to say whatever you want in class, in school, right?
I mean, you can, but there's consequences.
But there's consequences, right? And so I'm in Russia, and I was doing this festival out there, and it was an amazing experience. It was a truly cool cultural experience. I'm talking to these two comics that were there who did this podcast, and they were talking about this idea of freedom that like is instilled in Americans, and they're like, here's the thing you got to understand. Ever since you're a kid and like forever in your country, you fight for this value of freedom, which is you deserve to be free, right? And not only do you deserve to be free,
right?
Other countries deserve to be free.
Sure.
And if they're not free, you'll go out there and you'll free them.
As long as there's something in it for us.
And then he goes, well, of course.
Right.
But I'm just saying like in its best, looking at things in the best possible way, right? And he goes, we've never had this concept of freedom. I go, wait, what do you mean? Because I thought freedom was ubiquitous, right? I thought every human being believed in freedom.
So the Russian is saying he's never had this concept.
So
of
he
freedom.
goes, so they go. For our whole lives, they've been telling us, believe in Russia,
the state,
support Russia, help Russia, mother Russia. We are the best. Russia is the best, and we will always protect Russia. It's never in America. It's always freedom, then America.
Right.
And anytime America infringes on your freedom, we start to protest. Colin Kaepernick should be able to take a knee. Why? Because he's free to take a knee.
The Constitution says that,
yes,
though.
because the value of America is this freedom thing. I'm not even sure if that's the right exercise. It keeps hitting me in my nose. Listen, I agree with Antonio Brown when he said he needed to change these helmets. These helmets are absolutely ridiculous. Are you about to kick us out of here? Only if you can catch me. Guys, NFL season is back, okay? And you know where we're going to go gamble? We're going to go gamble at mybookie.com. MYBOOKIE.com. All sorts of amazing things. They got this $100,000 handicapping tournament. Only costs $100 to get in. And that's right, you could win $100,000, okay? You want me to get out of here? Stiff arm, no. Okay? MyBookie.com. It's got live in-game betting on every single NFL game, okay? And for you fantasy nerds out there, you can bet the over-under on fantasy points. I really got to get a better helmet. Here's the reality, okay? They're going to match your first deposit up to $1,000. Do you know what that even means? Do you know what that even means? That means you put $1,000 in, they match it. You're going to gamble all that money. That's only at mybookie.com. MYBOOKIE.com. You want all that good stuff? You got to use our promo code. That promo code is
idiots.
mybookie.com. Promo code
idiots.
The individual comes first.
The individual
And
comes first,
it's
not
the
this
state,
America
not the
thing.
state.
American is an expression of that freedom thing, and it totally puts it in perspective for me because I was like, holy shit! I thought this was just how every human believed that they should be able to live, and then some places weren't able to live that way.
Yeah,
but there are people that grew up without even believing they deserve
so
it.
So you're in a country where they never had that, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So how wild is that like you and I, you grew up with this idea that you deserve freedom, even though you were being restricted your freedom in many different circumstances because of the color of your skin. But even inside you were like, but they're wrong for restricting me because I deserve this thing that realistically we all made up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we
right? Isn't it nuts?
I don't think we made it up.
We didn't make it up.
We didn't
People
make it
have
up.
wanted freedom. They just haven't had it.
Right. But like,
Everyone wants to be free instinctively.
Right. But
now listen,
but historically, it just hasn't happened.
Both of you, well, you're a white male.
Yeah.
Right. Chris is trans Asian.
Right.
So
speaking of which, Hong Kong is an exact example of what you're talking about, right?
There we go.
That's why they're going
ham
so fucking hard because they got a taste of it.
Yeah.
And they know it's about to go.
Taste of freedom.
And now they see it's about to go away. And you got 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids who have grown up with iPhones and Coach stores. I mean, Hong Kong is an international city.
Yep.
It has everything that New York has and then some.
And China's about to shut that shit down.
to shut it down.
Why are you shutting it down?
Because it's a threat. It's a threat to what they have.
Their freedom is a threat to the control.
Western civilization is a threat to their way of life.
Well, certainly democracy. Yeah. And I mean, I won't go too in the weeds.
They remove all, like China's way to control their population is to remove all other influences. Like there's a reason they don't have religion out there, right? And they've actually been like fucking like, and I don't know about exterminating, but like putting Muslims in camps and shit out there. Like,
yes.
And it's because they want the government to have the only influential factor in people's lives, and religion is such a potent idea and like powerful idea in their lives. It could create separation. It could
parts
make
of the Caribbean are like that. Like when we used to
the whole world.
When we used to first go to Anguilla, they didn't have Viacom. All that shit was blocked.
Yep.
Did I ever tell you about the time that we tried to watch Moonlight in Anguilla?
Oh, and you got to knock on the door? What you doing in there?
We tried to watch Moonlight, and it was like, this program is restricted in this region, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, And so it was me and my wife, and it was Van, and you know, and I'm like, what other gay movies do y'all know? The only one I could think of was Brokeback Mountain. So I look up Brokeback Mountain. This movie is restricted. Yes. So then Netflix starts this, recommending stuff. So, I mean, you go down a Netflix rabbit hole of gay movies. Jesus Christ, bottomless butthole, right? So you start. So it's like it's all of these movies in this gay genre. Every single one of them restricted. Every single one.
So it's one of those things where like, and were you surprised a little bit?
No.
Interesting.
No.
It didn't come to your. No. It didn't make you go, oh shit! Like we live in a place where you can watch any of these things.
I've traveled enough. And,
okay, you had an expectation.
Yeah, and read enough to know America got it good.
Son, it's crazy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I know that there's tons of fucked up shit that's happening, but in terms of raw freedom, no place is close.
How many times on this podcast?
Close.
And I might even update.
Canada might be close.
Dude, Canada, you get arrested for a tweet. Canada, really? A comic was sued for $40,000 for a joke he made on stage. That's not freedom of speech. They don't even have freedom of speech in Canada. They have freedom of expression.
Yeah.
Because speech can be hateful and speech can be violent or whatever these nonsense things
and think
are.
about all the times we hear about, and that's the other thing you heard for years. These different artists go to these different countries and get arrested for something they did on stage.
Yeah, Alex.
NWA, back in the day, where it was at? They was in Sacramento somewhere.
Sure.
I forgot where it was at. They got arrested because the police officer said, "You can't come on this stage with this rhetoric." I always understood that concept.
Right.
My biggest thing when it comes to freedom, it's not even about the rules somebody may have for their establishment or even for their town or whatever. My biggest problem has always been the rules that are systemic based on my skin color, based on somebody's sexuality, based on somebody's gender, because those are things we can't control. Right. I can go in somebody's establishment and not motherfucking curse.
Easy.
If you ask me, you know what I'm saying? If you ask me
can't
not to curse,
be black.
That's my Yes. So that's a different type of freedom liberation that
100%
that minorities are seeking.
And you should seek it. But what I'm also saying is there are places in the world where they don't even believe they can seek it. The idea isn't even there for them. The idea and to be honest, this is why in a lot of ways comedy is so potent and why it's, I think, taking over the world. That's my prediction. Stand-up is because the joke offers this perfect little protective cloak for a real idea, right? And if you're from a country that really, censors what people can say, if you say something, but there's a nice little joke around it, you're like, oh, that's not too serious. It's
can they take a joke in China? Can they take a joke in Hong
Kong? You got to see how far you can go with it. You got to see how far you can go with it.
Let those little penis jokes fly over there if you want to. And see what happens.
Well, it would just be regular penis.
You let them short jokes fly over there and see what the fuck happens.
It's just
think about that. We have the freedom to make fun of other people from other countries in America.
Think about this.
You're not going over there with that shit.
No. Think about it. It was funny when I was in Russia. I did a Putin joke. That was the first thing that I did, and I had a guy translating the joke. Yeah. And I said, I just start the bit. I was like Putin, and I look at the translator, and he looks at me. He's like, "You want both of us to get involved in it? Y'all really want this to go down?"
I'm not. I get it.
But there was a little bit of a little pushback, and I understand that. But this is what fucking happens, man. And this is what true freedom is. True freedom, think about how free we are. You can call the president. What did Chrissy Teigen call him? A pussy ass bitch.
Now listen. Let's talk about that. Call him a pussy ass bitch, bitch ass pussy. We don't know if that's going to fly because we don't know how petty our president is. We don't know how petty his administration is. And just because they don't do something publicly and overtly don't mean that they won't do something. We don't know when Chrissy Teigen might get on the next plane and get held up at the motherfucking airport everywhere she go. We don't know.
What is her background?
Kathy Griffin.
What is her background? What is Chrissy Teigen's background? She's Asian. What kind of Asian?
I don't know.
Thai. Not a chance in the world she goes to Thailand and talks about their emperor like that. Not a fucking chance. And the emperor in Thailand, guaranteed 10 times worse.
You know why?
Than Donald Trump.
Probably fucking cut her head off or cut her hand off.
In a fucking heartbeat.
But by the way, that's what Trump wants. Trump wants to be an authoritarian figure in that way.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck with nobody.
Yeah, I mean the danger. I didn't have a problem when people criticized Obama. I didn't agree with it, but it's important that you can criticize the president.
That's what democracy is about.
Right. I think the danger isn't the Chrissy Teigen stuff. If you want to look at what's happened recently, the danger is when he does the storm pattern, changes it, won't admit that he's wrong, and then instructs the weather organization to lie on his behalf. That's the real
but then it turns out that it was going towards Alabama.
But he can't reach out to them and say this is what you have to say.
Right, but CNN came out and said it is going towards Alabama.
Right, but he was sort of
he was right. But
it didn't go to Alabama though.
No, I saw the CNN report where it was we believe it's going to cut across Florida, hit Tallahassee, these types of things in Alabama. That's it. But the point is, yes, exactly, and that would be fascism where you have that kind of influence over the weather, the fucking Weather Channel, these types of things.
That's the dangerous stuff.
100%. He's doing that now, though.
Dude, there's no doubt. And
Trump told Fox, I don't fuck with y'all no more. Y'all better straighten the fuck up.
He did.
All right?
What he's doing with the media, I think, outside of the environment.
Let's not
is
make
the
it a
most
Trump
dangerous
thing.
shit.
Let's not make this a
Wow,
Trump thing.
it's tough not to.
Well, I'm voting for him in 2020.
Let's say what?
Nothing.
So I'll vote for him in 2024.
No, but it ties into what you're saying.
Wait, things are going down. He'll still be there.
Son, you saw the thing he posted on Instagram?
What?
He posted Trump 2024.
Bro,
That shit got me a little nervous,
I told
man.
y'all this
That
already.
shit got me a little nervous.
I
I
told
ain't
y'all
gonna
this a
front.
million times.
I got a little nervous
Trump
with that one.
is going nowhere.
But what Trump got to understand
Nowhere.
is America's, and this is the thing, that, and I don't want this to be about Trump because then it just gets into an argument. And let's talk about freedom. That's way more interesting. But what Trump doesn't understand is how much America loves freedom and values freedom. And if
It'll be
you
interesting to find
infringe upon that freedom, and part of infringing upon that freedom is the freedom to elect a new president at most 8 years, no matter what. And granted, yes, FDR had 3 terms or whatever, sure. But if you infringe upon that freedom, there are Americans that will be crazy enough to make sure that
That's
doesn't
what I
happen.
want to ask you. Yeah.
They not on the left.
Let me
The
ask you.
motherfuckers that are crazy enough to do that are on the right.
What was the guy that shot up that baseball game?
What
Who was he
baseball
on?
game?
He's left.
He was on the left.
One out
He
of-
shot up all those senators. What was the guy who shot up the thing in Ohio?
Listen,
he was on the
this
left.
is my question to you. Here's a scenario.
Left's got shooters too. They're
There's
just
there's
wrists are weak.
I'm not talking about shooters. There's a disputed election, right?
Yeah.
The next election, 2020.
Yeah.
Trump claims this. The other side claims
Don't
that.
take my fucking talking points that I've been saying on this goddamn podcast and on Breakfast Club for months, and nobody want to listen to me because I got to lift.
I've been saying it too. Listen. So here's the scenario. Here's the
Been
scenario.
saying this.